guys, thanks for having me. This is a very personal story to me and my family, and I hope that you enjoy it at least half as much as my mother hates hearing it. So the year that I turned 17, that summer was big. Like, that was a big, big time for me. And I had my first real girlfriend. Like, stuff was really, it was starting to happen. Like, things were going down. And I knew, this was going to be my summer. And it was also a hard summer. There was a lot of conflict. There was a lot going on. My mother is a woman of focus, of supreme and uncompromising fixation. And this particular summer, my mom's fixation was the concern that I might be sexually active. And I would have been if she wasn't so goddamn effective. And I think that she would agree with me in saying my mother is the most effective form of birth control probably since the tuba. So, it was a tough summer. It was basically everyone's boundaries were pushed. And she would get into this zone where she would step across any lines that you could conceive of. Early that July, I'd been dating for a couple of weeks, and my poor girlfriend was just along for the ride. And we're sitting in my living room, lying on the couch, watching a movie, good, wholesome fun, under a blanket, just kind of relaxing. Get your heads out of the gutter. And, I see my mom peer around the doorway with suspicion. And I kind of watch out of the corner of my eye. I don't know what's going to happen. I never do. And she crosses the room, and at this point she has my girlfriend's attention too, and she's kind of like, I can feel her like kind of tense up, like, what's going to happen? Like, what's she going to do? She walks over, and at this point, like, all eyes on that couch are on my mom. My mom's eyes are fixated on that blanket. And what could be going on under it? She walks over, and without saying a word, she peels the blanket back, and I go, "Did you just boner check me?" And she goes, "Oh," and she drops the blanket. I don't know. I was like, "Why would you do that?" And she said, "I thought you might be naked." And I was like, "What if we were?" What was your response going to be? And she said, "I don't know." And she ran out of the room. And I could give you example after example, but that was the kind of drama that was just packed into that house all summer. And I made a big mistake, and I can look back and I can admit that now. I dated my mom's best friend's daughter. And much like the president of China and I don't know, I guess presidents around the world, she had a red phone in her room that dialed directly to her. She would just pick it up. Every time I left the house, that phone was dialed. "Hey, just so you know, Ethan's leaving the house." And I would, just make sure that Sarah's not around, that you have your eye on her. So it was just a constant. I lived in a police state. The only solace that I had was that my girlfriend and I, we could take walks together. We could walk out of the house, and that was the only time that we didn't have absolute supervision. We had certain timelines to stick to. Be back in 20. And, walking around the neighborhood one day, I noticed that there was an abandoned house in my neighborhood. I see many of you are ahead of the curve. It was a house that had recently become abandoned when a very kind elderly couple had passed away, leaving this wonderful summer palace, this one-floor kind of shanty house. And it had been removed of every piece of furniture. It was completely stripped except for a bare mattress on the floor. And I found an unlocked window, and I was like, yes, this is the life. So, lo and behold, I took a walk around. I wanted to make it my own. I thought, this is great. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was thankful, but, it needed a personal touch. It needed something that was mine. So I thought, what can I do? I need a blanket. I need a good blanket. So I thought about all the places I could get something to kind of like cozy the place up. And I couldn't think of a blanket that I could take without anyone noticing until I remembered the owl blanket. The owl blanket was this blanket that we had in the car with these embroidered owls on it, and it had always been there. It was always in the car. And I thought, I can sneak that out of the car. No one's going to notice. I'll just walk out in the middle of the night, throw it in there, which is exactly what I did. And, we took that walk, and I, don't have to tell you what happens when two teenagers get into an abandoned house on a mattress of the recently deceased. And, to keep that blanket safe, keep it from getting dusty, I opened up the drying machine. I threw it in there. I thought it'd be safe there. I can come back at it later. And that was the end of it. Till a couple days later, I walk back by, and I see the house has been demolished. It's been flattened. And I go home, and my mom said, have you seen the owl blanket? And I said, no. She said, well, my Aunt Jackie made that blanket for your father and I when we got married, and I can't find it anywhere. And it means a lot to me. I don't know where it is. And I thought, oh my God. I knew exactly, what I should do. And I said, I don't know. I haven't seen it. So, I felt terrible about it, and my mom ends up asking me to transplant some bushes with my father from in front of that house, just coincidentally. And we go over there with a wheelbarrow, and we're moving those bushes, and I see out in the rubble that a little bit of, is staying a little higher than everything else. And, we finished moving those bushes, and I just wade out into the rubble in the middle of that house, and I pull back all this plaster and roofing, and I open up a dryer, and I pull out the owl blanket. And my dad looks at me. He goes, is that the owl blanket? And I said, don't ask, just wash it. And that owl blanket is sitting out in a car on High Street right this second, waiting for more happy days. Thank you. Sorry, bad with time. Thanks so much.